Alexa, turn on the heater.
Okay.
Is the microphone working? I see. Good, good. How about now? Okay. Okay, hopefully I have good audio and sound ready to go. Take off my hat. Sorry about that. So let me know if you guys can see me and hear me and everything is live and we're good to go. Good to see you, Jeff. And we had Prime Day last week, and there was a lot of great deals there. I picked up a lot of stuff. Only a couple of things have come in so far because I did delayed shipping to get an extra 1 or 2% cash back kind of deal. Uh, so I did get a couple things in. I'll share those with you that I think are still a good deal. And thank you, Jeff, for the heads up. But I did find some new deals, some deals that weren't available in Prime that are available now and at better prices than I ever paid for myself, actually. So let's go ahead and open up my deal page. Let me rearrange my screens here a bit, and I guess that's good. I was doing some bracketing. Okay. And me in the corner. Awesome. So this is the deals page. And there weren't really a lot of filters on sale this week. They kind of went out last week, but there is still one really good filter set available. And it's the ND filter set down all the way down here. So these three filters here are all really good deals. The KNF concepts never go on sale for a whole lot of money. It's right now they're like $8 off, but this is an excellent filter. It's in the 62mm filter thread. They have other sizes on sale as well for about the same discount. But this is still the standout deal. This was on Prime Day, and it's still going on today. You get 4 ND filters starting at 16, going up to 1,000. So you could do all kinds of things, all day long exposures with these. And you also get the filter case and a little pen cleaning tool. The filter case alone is worth $12 if you ask me, but it's great that you're getting these 4 filters, so you're paying basically $3 a piece for them, and then they're throwing in the filter case and cleaning pen. This is hard to beat. You can see the regular prices are $30 and up. So to get this for $12 and in the filter ring size that fits the 12 to 40 f4 or f2.8 Pro perfectly, as well as many other lenses. But double check your filter thread size for 62mm, and you should be good to go. And then this set here, while it doesn't look like it's a big discount, it actually is. They've lowered the price quite a bit. So if you look at the 72 and the 55, you can see these are selling for double the price or more. So getting this set again in a very popular size for Micro Four Thirds, the 12 to 40 Pro F 2.8. You're getting a magnetic filter set with an ND1000 and a CPL, a UV filter. You know, I'm not a big fan of these, very limited use case, but you also get the filter cap and, you know, of course, the magnetic ring adapters along with the case. So this is another filter set I can highly recommend at this price point. It's kind of a no-brainer. You know, I always say you got to have CPLs and you got to have ND filters. The ND1000 is a bit strong for a lot of applications, but it will allow you to shoot wide open your aperture in broad daylight. But typically you'd use an ND1000 for, you know, 20, 30-second exposures, if not more. So there's some, you know, use cases for that, like live ND during the day is kind of neat to do. Okay, and then, uh, you know, a lot of the things I pick are, you know, I feel very strongly about. Here's another really good deal. This bag insert. Uh, you know, a lot of people like to use their own bags, backpacks, and you know, shoulder bags for your camera gear, and you can just insert this for $11.49. This will, you know, really protect your gear, especially in backpacks where there a lot of them seem to be made for like the old DSLR full frame type camera systems with huge lenses. Our Micro Four Third cameras, you know, are much smaller, and the mirrorless cameras in general are smaller as well as the lenses. So this helps to fill in those gaps in your backpack so you can fit more stuff in. And these rarely go on sale. This type of product, so it's good that I found this one. And you know, of course, you can take it out. It's got handles on it, little pull string. Um, but yeah, this is a great deal. And then let's see. The power banks. This power bank, I bought a couple of these myself. They're awesome, and I paid like 120 for mine. Uh, you know, they so getting this for I don't need another one, but getting this for 99.99 is a steal. It's 41% off. I mean, it sits the $169 price quite a bit. And sometimes it goes on sale for 140, sometimes down to 120, and that's when I kind of jumped on it. But I've never gotten this deal, 99.99, and it has this beautiful like OLED display. If you want to set it up with your app, it'll also display like, you know, time and date as well. So it's like a desktop clock, and it is relatively compact. It's not very big. It's only like 4 inches across, but it has 6 ports, and it goes up to 250 watts. So you can power your laptop with this. You know, LED lighting and other cameras and chargers and all kinds of stuff. And that's what I use it for. I use it primarily for powering my lighting and cameras here in my, you know, my office or studio to make my videos. So, but you know, of course, what I really like is the display giving you how many watts each port is cranking out. And if you connect it with the app, it'll actually alert you on your phone when a device is done charging. So there's some other applications there. I don't use the app. There's just too many apps on my phone as it is. But you know, as a desktop charger, this is pretty awesome. Now they have another one. It's very, very similar. The display is a little bit smaller, but it does provide the same information. Uh, and it has fewer ports. Like this one only has, what does it say? 3 USB-C, 1 USB-A, and 3 AC. So it has a pull-out USB-C cables. So that's kind of nice because a lot of times, you know, you might use a cable that's not rated for the power output. But if you use the ones that are built in, you know you're going to get a 100-watt uh, cable. And then on the back, you'll see that it has 3 AC plugs for plugging in, AC devices. So it's a really nice little compact device for 60 bucks. That's about the lowest price I've ever seen this device go for. And yeah, these are a little bit of a premium because they are branded by Anchor. These are the top of the line, highest quality charging stations you can get. You don't have to worry if you buy Anchor. There's no baloney there. But yeah, these kind of devices help declutter your desk and cable management. Uh, Here's a budget one. If you don't care about the display and you just want some AC plugs and USB-C ports combined to declutter, your workstation, this is a great little device for, basically 30 bucks. Uh, Basos has been making charging stations and power banks for a long time, so they're pretty well regarded. You can see this has a 4.7, mostly, 5-star reviews. So this is a great device at a price point that I haven't seen it this low in a long time. So I'm debating if I should pick one up myself here at that price point. Not that I need another charging station, but and then one other one here. This one here, when I was first shopping for charging devices, I always liked information displays. And this one, it cycles through the different ports to show you the display information, but it is very useful. And I like the wireless charging port on top because the the USB-C port of my phone is starting to wear out, and sometimes the phone won't charge, so I have to charge it wirelessly. Uh, so if your USB-C port is still good, you'll reduce the wear and tear on it, which after I think my phone's 3 or 4 years old now, it's starting to get a little bit worn, and now the only way I can charge it sometimes is wirelessly. So this is a great feature of this particular device at this price point. It's pretty hard to beat. It doesn't have quite the power output, 45 watts here, but typically your phones are charging between 10 and 20 watts anyway, at the maximum rate. And then once they start to get above 80%, they drop down to like less than 10 watts. They go down to like 5 watts or less. And then a 45 watt here, this is good for doing charging tablets and things, because tablets will charge, 25, 30, 40 watts sometimes. Your larger devices, your laptops, things like that, you can charge very quickly at 45 watts. So this is a great device at this price point. It didn't get very good reviews. I've seen, some of them, you have to kind of ignore some of the Vine reviews, but let me just point out one that I read. Ah, wow, they didn't give any details here. I don't know why this got bad reviews, but this is the kind of device that is so cheap that it's worth taking a little bit of a risk to try this out. If it doesn't perform to your expectations, there's very liberal return policy with Amazon. But I couldn't pass this one up either. I wanted to include this. And then, of course, uh, the there's a couple of memory cards here, and I think I see Anthony has a question there or comment on it. The micro SD card, a 256 by Samsung, excellent card, 1985. Of course, a lot of devices are coming with micro USB now, so this is a great deal on that. And then this is a great deal on a standard SD card for our cameras. This is not a UHS-2 or V60 card, so your buffering times are going to be a little bit slow if you like to do burst shooting, like birds in flight type stuff. So I wouldn't recommend this if you do a lot of birds in flight or sports action photography where you're running out your buffer all the time. But for just about everything else, this is more than fast enough. They claim read and write speeds of 200 and 130. And I do get, because I've bought this card before, as you can see here, but it it's really only when you have it in your computer directly connected can I get these kind of speeds. In my camera, it's you're not going to get these speeds anywhere near that. You're going to get very similar speeds to every other UHS one card out there, or V30 card, but it's more than fast enough for 4K video up to 100 megabits, even I'd say up to 200 megabits of 4K video. Uh, if you fill up 100 frames in your buffer, it's going to take about 45 seconds to clear 100 raw images like in an OM1. And it comes with the card reader. That's that's something you can just kind of keep in your bag if you're on site. But uh, they're basically throwing that in for free at this price point, 13.98. This is very very hard to beat. This is great, of course, for older compact digital cameras as well. So I'll stop here. I'll get into some other things. Well, let me mention one more thing. I bought some of these cables too, and they're great. They show you the power or wattage that the device is drawing. So if you're using a power bank now and you want to know what kind of wattage your devices are drawing, it's very useful for diagnosing problems in power supplies and batteries and things like that. So, uh, you know, I find this very, very useful. And the cables, I've had these cables for quite a while now. I bought this, what, in July of last year? So I've had these for over a year and they're working fine. And I do use them regularly for my higher power devices, powering my tablets, powering my LED lighting, monitors. And they've been just fine. They've held up well. So no issues there. Okay, let me go over to the chat and catch up there and see how everybody's doing. So Jeff, good to see you. Gord, always good to see you. Paul, um, Jeff says, I don't have, sorry, let me arrange my window so I can read this a little easier. Jeff says, I don't have a wide angle lens. My 12 to 40 f2.8 is the widest. Any recommendations? Don't mind manual and third party. Yeah, there's a couple of options. I have one on my deal page, actually. It's a little bit further down. Let's see. Or maybe actually it's on my Olympus page. I think you're in the UK, so the availability might be a little bit different. Okay, so this 7.5 millimeter, it's going to have the fisheye barrel distortion, and then of course there's the 4 millimeter complete circuit. Oh wait, you're not seeing. There's this one here. This will give you some barrel distortion, not as bad as you see here, because that's like on an APS-C camera. The Micro Four Thirds is going to be somewhere right in here, so you will need to correct for it in post-processing. But this is very very wide angle, and of course the fisheye lens, right? You're probably not looking for fisheye or fisheye distortion. We'll look at a rectilinear, but this one does give you a full circular fisheye view. And then this one here is really good. It's a 10 millimeter f2, so it's very very fast. They have it for the Micro Four Thirds mount, and it's pretty sharp. I did a review on this lens and I compared it to the 8 millimeter fisheye lens from Olympus, and of course the Olympus one was better, but this was not that far behind. It was pretty close, uh, and tiny bit soft in the corners, but really this is a great lens. Um, I reviewed this actually for the Fujifilm camera. Come to think of it, not the Micro Four Thirds. It was a different one for Micro Four Thirds. But yeah, this is a good option here. And then there's this one. This is the one that I reviewed. This does have a little bit of distortion to it that you'll have to correct for. But this is also very fast, and it's very wide, 7.5 millimeter f2. So like I said, the distortion that they're showing on here, like this, you see this image here on the left? It's more like this. And then, you'll have to correct for it if you want to. Maybe you want to leave it like that. Uh, but this lens is rectilinear. So this one you don't have to worry about. Let me just double check. Yeah, this is definitely a rectilinear lens at f2. So if you take this lens rectilinear, you don't have to do any post-processing. If you take the 7.5 millimeter fisheye, once you correct and make it rectilinear, it's actually closer to the 10 millimeter we just looked at in terms of field of view. So those are two excellent, very budget options. Let's see if there was anything else in here. This is the same thing. Yeah, I think that's it. So look for this one or this one. Both of these are pretty good lenses, and they're very fast at f2. Okay, and they're not that big. They're all metal and they're a little bit heavy. 200 plus grams, I believe, but that's because of the metal build construction. But they're not too bad in size. I don't think I have these lenses anymore. Okay, that otherwise I would just show them to you. Yeah, I don't think I kept these. I traded them in to buy something else. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So Anthony says, I've not seen a pro grade rugged SDV90 card on sale lately. I've noticed they're a lot cheaper than the competition when you can find them. Yeah, let me take a quick look. Pro grade. Yeah, I don't see any either. I mean, the ProMaster's a pretty good brand, but the pro grades, I don't see. I just don't see any. And I understand why you're asking about these cards because you do take your camera out in pretty extreme environments. I'm just going through my pages here. I have no idea even what they sell for when you can find them, but Anthony, for your OM1 Mark II, though, honestly, I think you can get away with a V60 card and not spend the money on a V90 unless for some reason you need a V90. But the V60s will give you the same performance. I have the OM1 Mark I, and I've tested it in that camera over and over again between V90 and V60, and the buffer performance is identical. So just a little tip to save some money because the V60s are a lot cheaper. So if you can find a V60 version of the card you're looking for, you'll save quite a bit. Okay, let's see. Do you think you'll ever try out an Apple computer such as an Mac Mini M4 Pro? No, never. I will never ever try one. uh, and The Laowa 6mm f2. Oh, that's a good option. I forgot about the Laowas. They're a bit more expensive though, I believe. But let's take a look at those. I could be wrong. Yeah, they're quite a bit more expensive, but it is rectilinear. Okay, so 500 bucks, 6mm f2, 500 bucks. It's on sale, but 8%. Yeah, these are quite a bit more expensive, and I think it's because they're making these sometimes for drones. I believe they have these available for drone, the larger drone cameras. And here's the 7.5 millimeter, and this has got to be rectilinear also. So yeah, these are great options as well, but I'm sure they'll give you a sharper image, or at least they better at this price point. But these are more than double the cost of the ones we just showed. I showed you, but thank you for sharing that, David. Um, because maybe you do want to get the very best optics, right? No question, the Laowa optics are going to be superior to the other two that I showed you, but the other two I showed you are really pretty good as it is. So it's one of those things where you want just a little bit better than the price. There's not a inverse relationship between price and quality, right? It's like it's more of a logarithmic curve. Soon you're kind of down here, you kind of plateau at this price point, and then you want a little better quality optics, and it just kind of takes a sharp tick up. So I get that, but those are definitely options. I didn't think of them because at these price points, it's not on my radar. I'd rather buy an autofocus lens, like the 8mm fisheye lens, or and I know that's quite a bit more, but they have autofocus, and I think it's worth it to get it. If you're going to spend $400 or $500, just spend $700 and get one with autofocus. And good morning, Darko. Good to see you. And Paul says, one thing I noticed, my G9 II file size are much bigger than the OM1. I think I could do with some 512 V60s. Any recommendations? Okay. There is a 512 V60. I didn't list it because I don't normally recommend them, but if you know you need one, right? It's so I'll pull that up. So let's see. Um, this is excellent. Sabrent is a very good brand, and PNY is excellent. Let's see what the OWCs are going for. There's a match set, but these are a bit expensive. Oh, they're V60s. Those are a bit expensive. Why is the OWC Lexar? Those are too small. I don't think Lexar makes a 512. Yeah, they go 256 and 1 terabyte. How much is a 1 terabyte? Yeah, of course it is. But that's a tough card. Actually, Anthony, you might be interested in this card here, a 1 terabyte rugged card. Probably way more than you need, but that's not a bad price for a terabyte. And it's a rugged card. It's stainless steel. That's actually not a bad deal. But yeah, this is a set that I've bought, at least 3 times. And I buy the 256 versions. But this is a good deal. $80 is about as good a price as you'll ever get on a V60 512 gig card. So I will add this to my deal page. So if you want to pick that up, you can use my affiliate link on my deal page. The Sabrents are also very good. I've not bought the Sabrent myself, but this is a very good brand as well. They're more known in the PC world for making solid state drives. So it makes sense that they would venture into making SD cards, and they've been doing it a while now. But PNY has been around a lot longer. They've been making memory cards for computers and also for now cameras in the SD card form. So I think they have a little more experience. But this card will perform just as well, uh, and it's basically it's $3 cheaper. So I can add this. But personally, I would go with the PNY just because I'm more familiar with that brand. But I have a very high confidence level in the Sabrents as well. Okay, good question there. And I did see a Kingston one. Any thoughts? Okay, Kingston is also an excellent brand. They were known for PC memory. I don't know if they have a 512 though. Let me just double check. Kingston. Oh they have a 512 now. That's new. But yeah, they're a little bit pricey. Normally they're a very good deal. This is the Canvas React version. So that's their. Let's see if they have a non-canvas. V30. V30. Canvas Select again. They've done a little bit of rebranding since I last looked at a Kingston. I've bought this one in the past, but I bought the 128 version. This is a V90. They don't have the. Yeah, they've rebranded or Here's this is the one that I bought. I paid 130 for it though. But these are V90 cards. I don't know if they make a V60. Kingston, I don't remember ever seeing a Kingston V60, but yeah, these are relatively new. But the 512, let's go into this, see if they have the 512 listed. Yeah, these are a bit pricey. I would go with, where's my Amazon page? I would go with the PNY for a lot less money. The Kingstons are excellent though. I've been using the Kingston card in my cameras for a long time. I think it's in my Fuji camera right now. I used to keep it in my Sony. Yeah. This is the Samsung though. So I'm very familiar with the Samsung card that I was recommending. And I'm familiar with the Kingston because I've bought it and it's been working fine. But I bought the V90, not the V60. But as a brand, Kingston is excellent. Kingston is an excellent brand. Have you ever tried out the Sony V60 SDXC? It's plenty big for me. 64 gig is plenty big for me. I don't see any need of going bigger than. Yes, I think they're a bit overpriced though, for what they are. But they are pretty solid, and the performance is fine. My friend David Crooks uses, I believe, the 64 gig Sony V60 card, the tough card. So, I took it out, of course, and he's very happy with it. But I don't have any personal experience with it other than holding it, and it does feel pretty good in the hand. very tough. Still using the Pixco 8 millimeter fisheye. Oh my God. Yeah, I still have that lens. Yeah, the good old Pixco. I think it's sitting right. I think it's this one right here. I haven't used that thing in ages though, personally. But yeah, the good old Pixco. My front ring came off. The plastic thing that tells you. So it's kind of, it looks jacked up, but it's actually, the lens itself is still in good shape. This is a great little lens. This is an F. I can't even read it anymore. This is an f2.8, I think. I can't read it. This was a cool little lens, though. Man, you've been with me a long time. Kingston were one of the cheapest. Yeah, that I noticed that too. For a while there, they were the cheapest of all the UHS2 cards. You know, the V90s. When I was shopping V90, I don't shop V90 anymore. I go V60. But so it doesn't surprise me that they're very, very competitive everywhere. Nancy says, do you find some companies are more honest about their speed capabilities than other when it comes to SD? No, they're all rated pretty accurately. Typically, they're just a little bit slower than what they actually claim, but not enough that I would say they're being fraudulent, right? Like for example, if they claim a 280 megabits read speed, I'll get like 260 typically, and there's a lot of variables there, right? Between uh, what kind of card reader you're using, the USB-C interface and chipset that your laptop or computer uses. There's a lot of variables there that might affect that speed. File size, file format. Uh, the speeds that they give on their card generally are pretty accurate. And with all the brands, the major brands like PNY, Sabrent, Kingston, Samsung, of course. Uh, wow, their name escapes me. I haven't bought theirs in a while. SanDisk. They're all pretty good. I would avoid third party, like third party brands you never heard of, like Team Group and whatever else I see out there. Uh, those are a bit tricky. You're lucky if you even get the rated capacity. They claim 256, and then you get a 16 gig card. I've seen that happen. A friend of mine bought a SanDisk card, but it was fake. It said 256 gig, but then when she hit 16 gigabyte on her card, it would stop working and say card full, even though it's rated for 256. So just be careful of really off-brand stuff. But I can tell you the brands that I put on my deal page are ones that I can I have confidence in what they claim. You know, there's always a chance you still get a fake one, right? But if you get the brand, if you get the original card, you're going to be fine. Okay. So, yeah, 99 GBP. That sounds like a good deal for a 512 gig Kingston, 512 gigabyte Kingston. That's yeah, that's easily 20% less than what we're listed here in the US right now. All right, so I talked about the filters, the memory, the power supplies. I did find some new interesting products. This one here is just a simple riser. It is manual only for your flash, but it's cheap, $6.90. So if you have one of those portable flashes like the IM30, IM20 from Godox, or any third-party manual flash, this is a great option. I like that it collapses down, to a short size, so it's not sticking up all the time. But you can raise it if you need to for particularly long lenses. And then there's another variation. This is the Godox variation that tilts backwards. The main advantage to this one is that it's TTL compatible. So they have it for different ones, right? Olympus, Sony, Fuji, Nikon. And again, this gives you some options. The only problem with these risers is when you tilt it back, it hits your forehead, so you can't put the camera right up to your eye, right? Because it's tilting back in the way of your forehead. So that's not so obvious when you're looking at the picture. But like I have this one. I was doing some stuff this morning. Oh, don't let me forget to tell you about this macro rail. They have another one on sale. But this is another generic one, but yeah, when you tilt it back, right, it's all of a sudden it's like I can't get my head up to the thing. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting one of those tilting risers. That can be an issue. So the riser that I have here has a PC sync port, so that if I can use this on my older film cameras that don't have a cold, don't have a hot shoe, they just have cold shoes, like no pin contacts. So that's why I got that one, and I have that on my deal page as well, right here. This one is $13.90. So this gives you some additional options. It's not TTL compatible. It's like just manual only, but because it has the PC sync port, if you have any, oops, I'm sorry. Because it has the PC sync port, if you have any film cameras, or you want to control another flash off camera, you can do that with this, right? So this allows you to use a PC sync cable and use your flash off camera as well. So this gives you some really nice options, even though it's not TTL compatible. And then one last hot shoe I want to show you, or trigger. This is a wireless trigger system from Medialite, the same people that made the other flash that I recommended. It's there's another $3 coupon here, so you can get it for 30 bucks. But this allows you to use your flash off camera, full manual mode. So it's not TTL compatible, but it's only 30 bucks. So, and it's relatively reliable. I wouldn't do like a 400 image stack, okay? But if you're doing a 15 image stack or 20 image stack, you shouldn't get any misfires with it. It should be just fine. But I like how compact it is, because a lot of wireless trigger systems are much bigger than this, and they have their own built-in battery. So there is a shelf life on this, but it should last you for years uh, without any issues. Because I don't know how many times I've picked up a wireless trigger and the batteries are dead in it, like a button cell battery or those weird, uh, I forget the name of that, but some of them got those weird batteries in them that are, you have to special order. You can't just go to the drugstore and get them. Okay. Now, one or two other things that I thought were really good is these are very popular, these DJI mics. They're on sale, 30% off. So you can get a two mic version for 79, a single mic for 59. All of these. You can get the case, two mics, with the charging case for $99. Or just buy the microphone by itself, which is Bluetooth and will connect to via Bluetooth, like a regular Bluetooth microphone. So I'm thinking about getting one of these for myself for $33. I don't. Maybe I'll get this one for 59. This is a good deal. So, and I don't believe these were on the Prime Day. So this is a killer deal. And then the this 100-watt LED light, it doesn't have an internal battery, but you can hook it up to, a power bank because you can power it by DC, by USB-C, and then what was the other one? By the V-mount batteries. So there's multiple ways to power this via a cable. But I remember it was System Natura that was asking me about LED lights because he does bats and he's using 30-watt lights. I was like, man, you got to have at least 60. Uh, but here's a 100-watt version, and he was connected to some V-mount batteries, if I recall, or some sort of power bank. So he didn't need the internal battery part. All he needed was, a powerful light that was compact. And these are pretty compact and very, very powerful. And it's half price right now, $68.99. So, and I've seen a lot of reviews for this online. They're all fine. But there's certainly more powerful than the 30-watt ones that he was using. So these are great for, even doing macro photography, like out in the field. Because out in the field, you need a lot more light. And this is probably a little bit too much power for things like that. But if you want to do portraits with LED lighting, you know, because some cameras like the Panasonic S9 and some others don't have a mechanical shutter. So you're limited to LED lighting if you want to do any kind of portrait lighting or studio lighting if you use one of these shutterless cameras. Oh, it's sold out. It was not sold out this morning when I added it. Oh, that's too bad. How about this one? This is the 60-watt version. Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, you have to act fast on some of these, especially when they're like this discounted this much. That's too bad. So never mind that one. Uh, okay, so speaking of lighting, this came in. You can see I bought this on Prime Day. I bought a couple of these. These stands are great for 20 bucks. They're not on sale, but I bought a couple because there's a lot of versions of this light stand that sell for a lot more and they're the same thing. This is kind of a no-name brand, but they're selling it cheaper than everyone else. So what I like about it is, I sometimes I go out in the field with my backpack and I put the light stands in the side pockets. And the light stands that I have now are much taller sometimes, uh, or heavier. I have some stainless steel ones that are very sturdy, but they're kind of heavy and bulky, heavier and bulkier than I really need just to hold up a couple of bare flashes. Now, if I know I'm going to be using light modifiers, like soft boxes and things, I'll get the stainless steel ones because these are made of aluminum. But I think it's only 19 inches this way, and it goes up to 7.5 feet, or 7 feet 3 inches. Uh, but yeah, it's pretty well made. Twist locks here, which is fine. I'm not a big fan of twist locks anymore. I like the flip locks now. But yeah, so you can adjust this so it's completely flat. Oops, let me loosen this. I can adjust this so the legs are flat, and this is very, very stable out, even if there's a little bit of wind. So if I do attach, say, an umbrella, like I'll hook up an umbrella to something like this. I wouldn't put anything much heavier like a big softbox, but uh, if I put an umbrella on here, I may not need to add weights because this is, really has some really long legs on it. I mean, I'm still always going to try to put weights when I can, but sometimes, you know, you forget to bring your weights, right? So I really like this for 20 bucks. This is a great light stand. Just how compact the footprint is, very, very small here, you know? Like let me put it in the same focal plane as my head. You can see it's very, very small. Because if I show you like this, it looks gigantic, right? So I got to put on the same focal plane here. But yeah, it has a very small footprint, so it packs into the side of my backpack. It doesn't fit inside. It's a little bit too tall for that. But I have smaller cases, so I can just stuff that in the side, and it weighs nothing. What does this weigh? 600 grams, 642 grams for this thing. So I'm really happy with this purchase, even though it wasn't on sale. This is an excellent buy at 20 bucks. And it's something I could even use for like my uh, Insta360 cameras and things like that. If I wanted to, I could mount it on that. If I want a really, really stable platform. But I bought a different tripod, uh, something that's a little bit more compact than this one for my Insta360. That hasn't come in yet. And then I know we were talking about carbon fiber. Well, okay, let's skip carbon fiber for now, but this is still $59 because there's a $10 coupon here. But you know, $69.99. This tripod sells for over $100 all day long, and now it's half price. So, because if you scroll down, here's this one's for 75. It's not as good. Let me see. Like here's the K&F version. I don't think this one is as good as the one I'm showing you. This one's 99. This one's 111. 129. But you see what I'm getting at, right? Is to get an articulating arm tripod, and I know someone that has this, and so I've seen it in person. It's a good tripod. It's very sturdy. So this is a steal, and I think Ethan bought one of these as well. So if he comes in, maybe he can chime in what he thinks of it if he got it in yet. But and look at the load capacity, 33 pounds. So and these are quite handy for macro photography and things like that. And then the carbon fiber tripod, there's a $15 coupon here, so you can get this tripod for $75 for carbon fiber, very small footprint. So it's very easy. It's a travel tripod. It's very easy to travel with. It only extends out to 53 inches, so it's not very tall. But for most use case scenarios, this will be just perfectly fine. Without extending the center column, it's 45 inches, so it's just under 4 feet or 116 centimeters. So it's not very tall, like I said. With your camera, it might be this high. But for a travel tripod, if you want to carry something super lightweight, I mean, look at the item weight, 0.4 kilos. That's nothing. Oh, here's the actual weight, 0.7 kilos. This is a misprint. 0.7 kilos. I believe that number. I was wondering 0.4. That doesn't seem right. 0.7. I totally believe that number. 0.7 kilos. So standard ball head, Argus Swiss plate. Lots to like about this. All metal construction aside from the legs themselves. They have the cross carbon fiber, and they're demonstrating here because it uses a triangular center column. It compacts down really, really small. So again, this is an excellent deal. $75 for carbon fiber. That's a good deal. And those are the main things I wanted to cover. Unless you guys wanted to cover anything else specifically. I mean, there's some higher end stuff in here. Like this is a good deal for a pair of 512 CF Express B cards, CF Express A for like Sony cameras. This is a great deal. 169 for two 256s. And then the Jackery uh, power supply here, thousand watts, and these are the life pose, right? So basically, LiFePO just means they're a little bit safer than the standard lithium ion type batteries. They're less likely to explode. Okay, like the batteries in our cameras and things are all very highly flammable and can explode. The LiFePO batteries that they put in these uh, have are much safer to use. So this is an excellent deal. I don't need anything like this for myself. I have a smaller version of this, like a 300-watt version. That's really all I need. But if you go out in the field with LED lighting and you need to be out in the field for a couple of hours, this will get you by, no problem. The ones I have now, I get 30 minutes to an hour with mine. Mine's a 300-watt thing, but this you can go several hours with a pair of 200-watt LEDs and be completely portable for an on-site LED portrait setup. So that's why I included this, because you're like, why would I include something that most people use for camping, right? Well, no, photographers use these a lot for their LED lighting. So that's why I included it here. It's a really good little package here. Jackery is a very good brand. You can see 3,000 reviews at 4.6, mostly 5-star and 4 stars, 93% 4 and 5 stars. That's pretty solid. All right, let me go back to the chat. And Jeff says, I bought DxO Photolab 8 back in April, thinking of upgrading to Photolab 9 when Black Friday comes around. Any thoughts? Um, well, let me just say that aside from the AI selection tools, I don't see a lot of reason to upgrade. There was a couple other things in there with the stacking and the file. So they added being able to stack photo groups together and also custom file renaming on export, and then the AI tools, right? These are kind of the three main things. The AI tool being sort of the big elephant in the room, right? I don't know how much you would use that personally, right? That only you can decide if you're going to use the AI tools to select subjects and things. But I was able to get along on PL8 the entire time with no issues in editing photos. Using the AI tools now help a little bit with separating the subject more definitively from the rest of the scene. And the only time I really need to use that is when I want to blur the background more. So I'll select the subject and then I'll blur the background more, right? Uh, so honestly, Jeff, I would wait until Photolab 10. I would wait till next year, like October. They released Photolab 9 pretty early this year. I've never seen them release anything in September. They usually wait till late October, November, like near Black Friday. So I would wait unless you think you're going to use the AI tools a lot. And if you're using a Windows machine right now, it's still a little bit flaky, at least on my Windows machine. Some people are not having any problems at all, but it's very resource intensive. I've noticed a big drop in the performance of just loading images and seeing thumbnails and things. It is putting a load on the system because it does everything on your computer. It doesn't offload any of the work into the cloud. So you got some privacy, right? But then the penalty is it slows your computer down. So I would say aside from, if if you think you're going to use the AI tools a lot, then yeah, go ahead and upgrade if there's a deal on Black Friday. Otherwise, I would wait for Photolab 9 and see what else they come up with, and hopefully by then, Photolab 9 will be more stable across a wider range of systems. Because right now, the AI works great until I do something like subject select. But if I use the pointer tool or the rectangle tool, because you participate in a lot of my editing streams, I'm not having any issues, and I'm using the AI tools a little bit, right? But I still primarily use my control points and control lines, and I can do all of the images just using that without the AI tools. The only thing I can't do are things like where I want to separate the subject and blur the background or make dramatic changes to the background separate from the subject very distinctly. And that's not very often. That's not very often that I need to do that. And Roger's here. Good to see you, Roger. Hopefully, you got my email about the macro. So, yeah, the AI on the was the main attraction. So, yeah, give some thought how much you're really going to use that, right? Uh, I mean, I think it's a really powerful tool, but my editing style, I don't need to use it very often. Um, but it is nice. Like I want to select the bird. That was always a pain. Selecting the bird, uh, that's improved a lot. Just the normal bird selection type, the normal selection brush, the auto masking brush, that's a lot better now. That's definitely a lot better. And I can almost use that instead of AI. But Photolab 8 selection brush is terrible. I mean, I have to go back and erase things. But yeah, if you think you're going to use that AI stuff a lot, then yeah, I would maybe get it in Black Friday. But if it were me, I would probably wait because I don't use the AI tools. I could live without them. Let me just put it that way. I can live without the AI tools personally. I mean, if it was like a $10 upgrade, I would do it. But you're going to pay like $100, right, for the upgrade, and you'll get maybe a year's worth before the new version comes out. I'd probably wait and upgrade in a year for version 10. If I'm going to drop my $100, I would wait for version 10. That way, you're skipping 9 and you're going right to 10. And of course, it's going to have all the AI tools and stuff, right? Okay, hey Rob, waiting for delivery of my Viltrox Spark Z3F, but I did get the TT Artisan 100 millimeter 2.8 macro 2X for Fuji. Works great. I highly recommend it. Oh, okay. Uh, that's a manual focus though, right? Let's see, 100 millimeter. Let me look at this lens. It's got to be this. Whoops. Did you pay 339? I feel like it's been. This looks like a great lens though. It's a 2X. Wow. That's pretty good. It comes with a lens collar there. Not collar, but a foot. It's massive though. Interesting. I have to give that some thought. I don't use my Fuji that much, but it is. I'm starting to lean into it a little bit lately. It's because it's such a nice camera. The camera itself is nice, but the images coming out of it are really nice. The 40 megapixel sensor. And I do like the colors for certain scenes. I like it for landscapes. I don't like the colors I'm getting when I do portraits and things, but I do really like it for just about everything else. The architecture and landscapes and seascapes. It's really making beautiful colors on Ellie. The only thing I don't like it on is people. I don't know why the Provia standard is just looks awful to me. It's very pasty, pastelly looking to me. So that's the one. It's worth it. Okay, I have to give that some thought. Let me add this to my Fuji page. Fuji X mount. Okay. So if you're not aware, if you just go to robtrek.com, yeah, deals, right? That's the link that I have in like every video that I ever make. But if you click on just my name up here, it'll take you back to all of my deals. Not all of my deals, but all of my different categories. So tripods, flash, Canon, Panasonic, Nikon, and then here's Fuji. And so I just added this. I have to give that some thought. Because right now I was looking at the Fujifilm 90 macro. I think the 80 macro from Fuji. You know, it's autofocus. It's $1,000, and also the 30 macro. The 30 macro looks a lot more interesting because I kind of like the idea of a wider field of view, but then the working distance is really tight. But I don't know. I'm a little torn because the Fuji makes the 30 macro, right? It's 700. That's an interesting lens. And then I think it's the 80. Yes, more than double the cost. But this is kind of an interesting lens too. I don't like the position of this lens here in this photo. Man, look at that lens hood. It's massive. But you know, if I'm going to spend this much, I might as well buy the Olympus version, the Olympus 90 macro. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of interesting things out there, different directions to go. Roberto's here. What limit for overhead compartment and best bag to buy? Oh, I don't travel, so I have no idea. I'm not the right person to ask about travel bags. I'm sorry, Roberto. Uh, so I was doing some stack. My Zareen stacker expired. That's okay. This image is what, 400 images or something, and this is my 75 to 300. So my 75 to 300 with the diopter and with an extension tube, you know, on my you know, with the extension tube. And I was trying to see what kind of magnification I can get with this. And it came out to, I think, 2.4, 2.5x, like this. But the image quality is less than stellar when I do all of this, right? It almost looks like I got some motion blur in there, but I don't think so. I had a pretty stable setup. I think this is a bunch of coma problems, you know, and chromatic aberrations and also coma that I'm getting out of this lens. And I was stopped down to, I think, f9, or yeah, I think I was at f9. But I got about, what, a centimeter of distance here. Yeah, I was able to focus stack about a centimeter out of 400 shots. I'm not happy with this setup. So, I think I forget who asked me. Roger was asking me about this uh, in an email last night. About using the diopter with a 75 to 300. It's okay. Like if I just do the diopter and the 75 to 300, and but it's not great. So now this diopter with the 60 macro lens is pretty freaking awesome. And I didn't get a chance before the stream started to offload those and stack them. But I have the images here on my camera. But yeah, these are tack sharp. There's no way to see, but these are tack sharp. The images that I did with this. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to test this diopter together with an extension tube, because that'll give me about 2x magnification. I'm getting about 1.5x with this diopter attached, and I'll get about 2x when I add a macro extension tube. And I'm going to see how sharp that is. The only problem is, your range of focus is very, very limited. Like I was only able to get about a centimeter out of that. I might get 2 centimeters out of the 60 millimeter. So there's some limitations there, on how much room do you have to focus, and how many images do you have to focus. And I had the XF80, but returned it too big, expensive, and for macro I prefer manual. Okay. So that reminds me, the other thing I'm messing around with is this macro focusing rail. It's down in the description below, the link to it. Let me just show it to you here. This one here, half price. It's basically the same thing that I have. I have a Nissi version, but it looks virtually identical. I mean, there's some minor differences there, but this is the one that I have. Oops, let me take it off of the. I paid $80 for mine, and I thought that was a good deal. Where's my release here? So this is mine. Mine has the wheel and a crank for, sliding it up and down faster. But this looks pretty close to this one, right? I angle it the same way. Right, it's pretty close. Just the back wheel looks a little different. I kind of prefer the wheel. And let's see, this one is 100 and this one is longer too. This is 160 millimeters. What is this one? This one is, oh, this one's the same size even. I don't know. I think it's the same one. They just have a different wheel. No, it's different. Okay, it's not the same one. It's a little bit different. But yeah, this thing is if you really want to, if you're starting to do 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x magnification, this is going to be invaluable, right? And that's what eventually I'm going to get there. Ethan inspired me to do something like this. But this gives you such fine precision and control. I mean, this is not an $800 rail, okay? They have really nice rails. But for $60, and it's going to be very, very similar to this, more than good enough if you're just getting started. Because there are cheaper rails, like $40. Those are crap. Okay, you're gonna give up macro, in the same day. But if you get one of these, because of the precision, and like the one that's on sale now, this is really, really nice. So I highly recommend this if you want to do some super extreme macro work. It's not much use in the field. Like if you do the 15 frame focus stacking, like with our Olympus cameras, uh, it's not much use there. But if you're going to do focus stacking or focus bracketing, like 100, 200 shots, then this is also still very, very useful. Even though the camera is doing the autofocusing, getting that minimum focusing distance just right and tweaking it a little bit, this I'm finding really, really useful. Okay. Yeah, but I agree, Enrique. The 80 macro is really big and expensive. So I'd rather buy the 90 macro for Olympus. And Paul says, what are your thoughts on the 60 versus 90? Big price difference. Yeah. Uh, you know, the 2x magnification cannot be understated though. The images that I've seen from the 90 macro, because of that 2x magnification natively, is a huge deal. And I think it's worth the premium. Because on paper, the difference is what? About 1.25 times. So what is it? It's you can buy the 60 macro for $400 when it's on sale. It's 550 when it's not. At 90 macro, between 12 and 1500, right? So it's 2 to 3 times the price. But I think it's worth it. Because it has the stabilization as well, and it takes teleconverters natively. So I would, and you get a better working distance. So that list is that will probably be the next lens I get from my Micro Four Thirds cameras is the 90 macro. It's either that or the 150 to 400. I'm kind of saving up for like serious pro lens, one of their top lenses. But the 90 macro is excellent, and I think it's worth the price they're asking. Of course, I'm always looking for a deal. There was a time when you could buy used ones in mint condition for 1,000, but I'm not seeing that anymore. Everything I'm seeing is 12, 13, 14. Brand new, they're going for 15. It's brutal. Yeah, I would get to 90. I would wait. The 60 is nice because it's so small, right? It's just this little tiny lens on here. And I can get 1.5x when I add this diopter. So you're thinking, okay, so this is 40, this is 400. So for still less than half the price, you're getting pretty close to what a 90 can do. But in practice, using this diopter can be a pain in the butt, right? Because you have to get, if you're using it in the field handheld, this is a little bit of a pain. On a rail or something, this is perfectly fine. Even on a tripod, this is okay. But yeah, if you have the budget, I think the 90 is the way to go. Yeah, you can get 4x with the teleconverter. Yep. But then that's when you're going to need something like this, right? And then you can start doing like those grains of sand that Ethan does. That guy does amazing macro work. Yeah. And Stuart is saying get the 90. Definitely get the 90. Yep. I agree 100%. I just didn't get the 90 because I just can't really afford a 90. And I said, okay, well, and I wasn't that into macro, right? I didn't buy the 60 macro until this year. And how long have I been shooting Olympus? Like 10 years. So I didn't think I would be that much into it, but now I'm starting to really get into it. It's really an area of photography that I haven't explored or I haven't explored very much, and I'm starting to really enjoy it. Okay, any other questions? Anything else you guys want to shop for? Let me go back to my deal page and see if there's anything else I wanted. Because I did find some other neat things. Where's my? I got another page here. This is an interesting power bank. $49, but it has the display. So this is like a poor man's Anchor, right? It's not as fancy as the Anchor with the OLED display and everything, but this is pretty close. And it has the same number of ports, 6 ports, the same power of 240 watts, and it's half the price. So that was kind of interesting. And then I don't think I have anything else in here. Yeah, this is the Anchor version. So it's basically a poor man's Anchor version. It's the same wattage, the same number of ports. Has a similar OLED display with all the data. So that's something to think about, but it's not on sale. But that seems like a good price. $49, that seems like a good price as is. So I don't think you need to wait for a sale. And then nothing here. I got one other page. I add stuff to this other page randomly. It's called The Little Things. This is a really interesting product here. It's on sale, but what it does is it basically tests your USB cables that tell you what they are. Are they PD compatible? Are they data compatible? And if they are data compatible, what speed are they rated at? So it has all these different displays to tell you, all the different things. So this is like this cable is telling me it's a Thunderbolt 4 USB Gen, USB 4 Gen 3, 40 gigabits. So this is pretty cool, and it's only 43 bucks basically. So I was thinking about getting this. I just spent like $500 or $600 on Prime Day, and I was like, I just couldn't bring myself to spend another 40, another $43. But I'm thinking I should get this because I got I got so many cables, uh, and that would be a useful tool. Another thing is this thing here. This is a magnetic lens converter. So if you have any filters, like in this case, a 58 millimeter filter, and you want to convert it to a magnetic filter where you just pop on and off magnetically from your lens, you can do that. The only problem I have with this product is it's $28. So, you can buy for $32, you can buy a magnetic filter set, get a CPL, a ND filter, a UV filter, a lens, you know what I mean? So this is a little bit expensive for what it can do for you relative to what you can buy. You can just buy a magnetic filter set rather than buying like one single magnetic filter converter. But that said, this might be exactly what you were looking for, right? That you don't want to buy the filter kit because you have an awesome filter for your that maybe you paid $100 for, and you don't want to buy a $30 filter set, right? You want to buy just something to convert what you have. So that's why I have it listed there. Only you can decide if this is worth it or not. Me personally, it's not worth it because I buy $30 filters. I buy $10 filters. I've bought $3 filters. I'm not going to convert a $3 filter using a $28 magnetic kit. But for some of you, this may make a lot of sense, right? So that's why that's there. Let's see. That was the only new thing. This is also kind of an interesting product. It's a little bit pricey, but this is a battery pack you can mount to the bottom of your camera if you're having power supply issues, right? Like, um, when you're out in the field and you do a lot of focus stacking or you do a lot of ProRes or uh, pre-capture, pro capture stuff, you know how much those two features drain the battery if you use them a lot. And swapping batteries is certainly easy enough in our cameras, but this is just another solution, right? Uh, where you won't have to swap batteries. You can have this attached and you can be assured that your focus stacking set is going to finish without the battery draining dead. Or, you get a battery warning right when, you're trying to capture some kingfisher in flight and you see your battery thing blinking and you're like, you know what I mean? We've all been there, right? And you don't have time to swap batteries or you've used up all your batteries. This is a pretty interesting option. It's just a little bit expensive. It's a 73 watt hour. That's pretty good capacity. So, you're going to be able to this is I would say equivalent to two or three separate external batteries, maybe three external batteries or I mean internal batteries. But another solution I have is um, this thing. If you already have a power bank that you paid like 20 bucks for, you can convert it to something you can mount to the bottom of your camera with one of these. It's just a strap with a quarter 20 screw. So the idea being is, you you wrap the power bank in here. So this is a much more affordable option. It's not as fancy as the other one, but I thought this is a good alternative. This is the poor man's way to go with getting external power to your camera because there are times like I said, focus bracketing and ProRes Pro Capture, you do burn through your batteries pretty quickly, and sometimes you don't want the battery to go dead in the middle of a set, and this would certainly avoid that or mitigate that quite a bit. Let's see. The rest of this stuff is pretty normal. We've talked about these things in the past before. Step rings, 15.99 for this set. That's the cheapest you're going to find step rings for. Here's the Raynox version of the clip-on lens. I think Roger was asking me about it. I've never used the Raynox, so I don't know what kind of magnification you get with it. But yeah, I think there's some interesting products here. The small rig battery pack, magnetic ring, the USB cable tester, all pretty cool stuff, right? So I'm definitely going to get this because my God, I got so many cables here, and then at the same time, I'm thinking, so what? Just use them, you know. Uh, so Servant says, with my patients, if I tried macro, there would be stomping a tragedy. Yeah, people screaming in humanity, child crying and running, me shunned from society. Yeah, this definitely takes a little bit of extra patience, right? It's not as bad as, let me tell you what's worse than macro, all right? Is is wildlife photography. When you're sitting there waiting for a blue heron or a kingfisher or whatever it is, sitting on a branch or standing in the water, waiting for it to do something. That's even worse. I'm sitting there holding the Pro Capture like this. Every couple of minutes, I got to release and start again, release and start again. Just waiting. Then my arms are getting tired if I didn't bring my monopod. And And then, you like stretch your arms out for 1 second, and that's when they decide to dive or fly off. Right when you're looking away, or someone will come up and start talking to me. That's the most annoying. Like I'm sitting there, and they'll say, "Hey, what are you looking at?" "Oh, I'm looking at a." Oh, god damn it. you know, how many times has that happened? So many times. All right. Um, okay. Why don't we call it here? I don't see any other questions there. Uh, lots of interesting deals there, and interesting products, and some excellent deals on some of the other things I showed earlier. And you guys are what makes my channel possible. I run the streams ad free. I mean, the shopping stream I run ad free while we're live, and then I turn the ads on afterwards. Like, not today, but I'll turn them on tomorrow. Uh, but during the stream, so using my affiliate links and everything really helped me out a lot, so I can buy more stuff for you guys to see and share my experience with. Because that's what I'm going to do with the money, is buy photography gear, and it helps me help you in the end. So thanks so much for joining me today. It's good to see everyone. You guys have a great rest of your week. I'll be back on Friday for my photo editing stream, and then Sunday for my normal photo chats. So eat healthy, exercise, and I hope to see you again soon.